I'm Teresa Woodard with a look at your North Texas headlines, and we begin in Fort Worth, where two men were shot and killed by police in separate shootings just hours apart. Those shootings happened early Saturday morning, both on the city's east side. WFAA's Richard Solomon walks us through what investigators have learned so far and how neighbors are reacting.
I can't even describe it. It's just unreal.
The first shooting happened just after midnight.
It was just blood everywhere.
The second, hours later, just after 4:15 in the morning. But both ended with Fort Worth police shooting and killing two men in separate incidents. And one of them happened in Carolyn Green's front yard.
And he was laying there. The ambulance came out. I said, that man is dead.
She lives along Wyman Drive, where police say they were called to for reports of shots fired. Green says someone was throwing a party a street over.
There were just droves of kids going up and down the street like they always do, in bunches, you know, parking everywhere.
Police say when they got there, they heard more gunfire and saw a man with a gun. They say they told him to put it down, but shot him when he pointed it towards them.
And I heard this loud boom, like it was in my house. I looked out, I saw a guy laying there. I was getting ready to call the police, and I realized they were already here.
Green says a bullet went through the side of her home.
The bullet came right through here. You could see where, and that's where it was, right there.
Hours later, while police were still on scene, they say someone drove past officers multiple times in a white SUV.
Suspect was driving a vehicle at high rates of speed and almost hit officers and attempted to hit officers per statements at the scene.
Fort Worth Police Chief Eddie Garcia says officers chased the driver and after 15 minutes were able to get him to stop near I-820 near the East Lancaster exit. Officers say they approached the vehicle with guns drawn and they gave him multiple commands. Police say he grabbed an officer's gun and multiple officers shot him.
I just hate the idea that there's so much stuff going on out here in our neighborhood.
Now, police say detectives are still investigating the shootings and they ask anyone with any information to reach out to them. Police say somehow an officer was injured in the second shooting, but we're told that officer will be okay. But for neighbors like Green, neighbors who live here, this violence is too hard to ignore.
I can't describe how I feel knowing that somebody died in my yard.
In Fort Worth, I'm Richard Solomon.
6-year-old Noel Rodriguez Alvarez had been missing from his home in Everman for more than 3 years. The Tarrant County Medical Examiner has now confirmed remains found in the backyard of the home where he lived with his family are indeed his. Noel had not been seen since 2022. Investigators say the boy likely died months before the investigation into his disappearance began and before his mother, Cindy Rodriguez Singh, and her family suddenly left the country for India.
Here at the District Attorney's Office, we will continue to seek justice for Noel. We owe that to him and to the citizens of Tarrant County.
Singh was captured last summer and brought back to Texas. She remains jailed on a capital murder charge, but she was found incompetent to stand trial. She will soon be transferred to a state mental health facility. She could be found competent in the future. The city of Dallas is changing its proposal for 2 bridges near downtown. Neighbors in Oak Cliff were outraged at plans for the Jefferson and Houston Street viaducts. And even with changes now proposed, Cole Sullivan shows us how people gave city leaders a piece of their mind.
If you think of these viaducts as not bridges, but connections.
I don't know the plans that y'all planning, but that bridge needs to stay.
Then this frustration makes more sense over a plan from the city of Dallas to change how traffic flows over them.
I do not support any plans that take away access from Southern Dallas. Period.
The city initially proposed closing to cars the bridge currently used to get out of downtown and said the road used to get to the city center would not connect where it does now.
I don't love it. I don't love any of the plans I've seen so far.
After frustration and fear, the city would orphan Oak Cliff, cutting it off from downtown. At this town hall, Dallas leaders unveiled a new proposal.
In this scenario, we're proposing a new bridge.
The presentation was tough to make out, but council members say it keeps car access on both bridges, making both two-way, at least in part, and allowing drivers to get downtown with a new bridge connector.
How does it happen?
Use the connector off of Jefferson and go all the way down to Young.
That would spike the plan for a no-car greenway, which in turn frustrates bike advocates.
There is currently no option to bike or walk or run into downtown from Oak Cliff without one of the viaducts.
Next week, council members are set to formally hear the new plan for this connection the community clearly cares about.
We're going to fight for our bridge.
In Dallas, I'm Cole Solomon.
It is graduation season, and when one North Texas law student gets his degree, it's in large part because of lessons learned in a boxing ring and from generations of family who fought every day to help him realize his dream. Here's Kevin Reese.
Noe Mendoza Jr. has been fighting back most of his life.
I really thought I was going to pursue a professional career in boxing.
His grandfather was a migrant farm worker. His dad was for a time, too.
I was 8 years old. Our dad would take us out a month early from school.
But Noe Mendoza Sr. wanted a different life for his son, so at 18 he gave him an ultimatum. Pursue boxing and he would have to pay rent to stay at home, or go to school and live at home rent-free.
That was an eye-opener at that age, and my father helped me come to that realization.
A realization that got him a bachelor's degree at Texas A&M, a master's degree in the Rio Grande Valley, and then here, the UNT Dallas College of Law. Saturday, the kid with the boxing gloves becomes a lawyer.
God is good. God is good. And we have broken the chain of poverty that has haunted our family for generations.
I think about that every day, and I don't take that lightly. I know that my family has sacrificed a lot to be where we are today.
But that's not the complete story. He did keep boxing. He's won 3 collegiate boxing titles, including the most recent. He is the first law student to take home a collegiate championship belt.
You don't have to come from power to be powerful, and that power comes from within.
He also teaches kids to box back home in South Texas at the club he and his dad offer for free, while offering himself as an example of what can come from determination and 3 generations of dreams.
God is good. We're very blessed to be in this position and to actually be here honoring my son for his great achievement that he's accomplished.
If you internalize those sacrifices and you live on them and you reflect on them on a daily basis, then they live with you, and those that have come before you will never fade away, nor will their memories.
Saturday at commencement, a boxing lawyer enters the ring for a very promising next round of life. In Dallas, I'm Kevin Reese.
A hard-earned degree. Congratulations to that family. Those are your headlines from North Texas.
Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. I'm Orko Manna. Starting with this, the family of a man who died while in custody at the Galveston County Jail is suing the people they say are responsible for his death. One jail guard has already been criminally charged. Our Matt Doherty has the latest.
Prosecutors say the guard killed Saul Vargas by putting his knee on his neck. Family members say there were others who were around who could have helped after it happened.
They just want justice and we want it to stop.
The family members of Saul Vargas and their attorney say justice means that others who they claim could have helped will have to pay.
We are suing all of the individuals who are responsible for the suffering and death of Saul Vargas.
Civil rights attorney Randall Callanan has filed a federal lawsuit against Galveston County, the jail, and others for what happened back in 2024.
We have found several other individuals who could have saved Saul Vargas as he lies in that cell.
39-year-old Saul Vargas was waiting for a court appearance and had spent a week in jail after he was arrested for fraudulent use of a credit card. The sheriff's office says he was tased during a struggle while being moved to an isolation cell and was later found unresponsive. The medical examiner ruled he died from asphyxia due to neck compression. Prosecutors say 27-year-old Skylar Chapman caused the death of Saul Vargas by placing his knee or his leg on Vargas's neck. Chapman has been charged with criminally negligent homicide following an almost year-long investigation by the Texas Rangers.
And his arm was like this, and he stayed in that position for 20 minutes while people looked at him. He was in dire need of medical care.
But the focus now is what allegedly didn't happen after the altercation.
He's still sitting there naked in this position. Who in their right mind, after seeing all that, wouldn't call the clinic or some medical care providers to come and see what was wrong with him?
Callanan says video evidence from the jail shows others looking in on Vargas, allegedly seeing he needed help, but doing nothing.
If they would have just intervened sooner, he very likely could have been saved.
In West Houston.
Now to a major update to a long legal fight. Texas Children's Hospital says it has agreed to create what could be the country's first detransition clinic for transgender patients, but they're only doing it to end a long and costly legal battle with the state. Attorney General Ken Paxton launched an investigation into the hospital back in 2023 for allegedly billing Medicaid for gender-affirming care for minors that had been banned. The hospital denies any wrongdoing and calls the investigation a, quote, unconscionable campaign of mistruths and mischaracterizations, but in the end agreed to a settlement that includes the new clinic, a $10 million fine, and the firing of several doctors. While Paxton celebrated the settlement, advocates with Equality Texas say it's a disappointment.
And Paxton has been using the Attorney General's office to attack transgender people in a really obsessive way. There is no huge group of people who are seeking this type of health care. For trans health care, the regret rates are incredibly low. I mean, we're talking 1%, sometimes less, depending on the study.
It's not clear yet exactly what kind of services will be provided at the new clinic. Now to this, the U.S. Secret Service is making sure the thousands of tourists expected to visit Houston during the World Cup aren't leaving victims of a crime. Right now, an operation is targeting devices that can steal your credit card and debit card information. Megan Reyna has the story.
I did have my card compromised just like within the last couple of weeks, and I don't know where it was compromised, and it could have been at the gas pump.
Michelle Woods has no idea how or who took her credit card information, but it's likely this may have been the culprit, a skimmer, a device that steals credit card information and can easily blend in to look like the real deal.
Scamming is going nowhere, but it's best to be wise to protect yourself.
Today, the U.S. Secret Service announced it partnered up with several agencies for an operation to find these skimming devices. In a matter of 2 days, they checked 372 businesses, inspecting more than 3,000 credit card machines, gas pumps, and ATMs, and found 14 devices preventing more than $14 million in losses. Harris County Precinct 1 Constable Alan Rosen says given the World Cup is less than a month away, the timing behind this operation was crucial.
The criminal element absolutely is going to come to our city and the other cities that are hosting FIFA events. And, you can reduce your chances of being the victim of a crime by just paying attention.
To better protect yourself, Rosen says inspect the ATMs or card readers for any damage. Use Tap to Pay when you can. And if you are using a debit card at the pump, run it as a credit card to avoid entering a PIN number.
What do you say to those thieves that are taking advantage of hardworking people?
Get a job. They need to go and try to make it for themselves.
That was Megan Reyna reporting. One of Houston's most iconic restaurants is finally back open after closing its doors for nearly 6 years. We're talking about the Spindletop restaurant at the Hyatt Regency, which offers panoramic views of the city. It first opened back in 1972, but closed during the pandemic and was later only used as an event space. But now it's back in business with a new 4-course dining experience and updated menu.
It's a Houston icon, and even though we've been closed for so many years, people still will be calling the front desk every week asking, can I make reservations? Are y'all coming back? What's the deal with it? They want to definitely come back and have the same nostalgic experiences that they used to.
Back in business, we're told the Spindle makes a complete rotation every 45 minutes. The restaurant will only be open Friday and Saturday nights with reservations required. That's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Orko Manna.
Hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jesse Hawila with WFAA in Dallas. And as we take a look at the headlines across the state, it's a pretty unsettled week of weather here across not only North Texas, not only Central Texas, the entire state really will have some shower and thunderstorm chances most of this week. A few strong storms north on Monday. North Texas, then up toward the Panhandle is really kind of the risk Monday. Then it starts to migrate farther south to more of the state on Tuesday. Severe thunderstorms will be possible for parts of the area Tuesday. We have a pretty broad level 2 slight risk in place on Tuesday. I'll show you that map here in just a moment. Wednesday, additional rounds of rain and thunderstorms are in the forecast. If you look at the forecast for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday across Texas, you'll see the warmth, certainly high temperatures in the 90s. Austin, Corpus, DFW, 90 degrees, 87 in Houston. Scattered shower and thunderstorm chances almost every day for much of the state. Again, if you look, especially as we get toward Tuesday and Wednesday, that's when a cold front will come in. That will bring a little bit more of a widespread chance for showers and storms as we remain unsettled, with temperatures coming down just a little bit for parts of Texas. Austin goes to 86 after highs in the 90s for a couple of days, 86 in Houston on Wednesday, 79 in Waco. So here's the first risk of severe weather for Monday. This is a level 1 for areas near Abilene and San Angelo. Then you go north toward Wichita Falls. It's a level 2 slight risk, level 1 marginal risk for the Dallas-Fort Worth area and a majority of North Texas as thunderstorms will roll through in the afternoon and evening. See these thunderstorms here? There's noon. See Abilene, Wichita Falls. So that area of thunderstorms could bring some gusty winds, some quarter-size hail, so 50 to 60 mile-an-hour winds, marginally severe, or quarter-size hail, which is also considered marginally severe, will roll through parts of North Texas and then out toward the rolling plains. Then on Tuesday, a cold front will come in. That'll bring in more widespread chance for showers and storms for the state. There's 7 a.m. Let me pause here and show you this risk map. It's a level 2 slight risk for all of North Texas, parts of Northeast Texas, down toward Del Rio, Sonora, Abilene, Waco, Austin, the Hill Country, San Antonio. And it's a pretty broad level 2 slight risk. It's our 1 to 5 scale. We're expecting the main risk to be damaging wind gusts, followed by quarter-size hail as this line of thunderstorms and this segment of showers and storms rolls in. There's noon. You see the showers and storms in North Texas, down toward the Concho Valley at 4 p.m. Scattered thunderstorms along this line from Waco up to Paris, Texarkana, then down farther to the southwest towards Sonora. Then we get into the Hill Country, some heavy rain. Some isolated flash flooding is absolutely possible with this as it moves in. It'll have some very heavy rain with it. And a majority of the thunderstorm activity late Tuesday night into early Wednesday moves into far south and southeast Texas with lingering rain. Even into Wednesday, additional rounds of showers and storms. East Texas, along the Texas coast, and then in the afternoon, more thunderstorms could spark out into the panhandle of Texas from Lubbock up to Amarillo and even down to Midland, a chance of thunderstorms there. As we look over the next 7 days, it's pretty unsettled. 3 to 4 inches of rain for east and southeast Texas. That's possible. 2 to 3 inches for parts of central Texas and the Hill Country. North Texas likely lines up in that 1 to 2, maybe 3 inch totals over the next 7 days. And we'll see dry conditions for El Paso, lesser rain totals up toward the Panhandle. So as we look over the next several days here, El Paso, Lubbock, and Midland, warm in most of the next 3 days in this area, dry. We'll introduce that chance for thunderstorms, especially Wednesday for Lubbock down to Midland. Central Texas, Austin, Waco, Fredericksburg. High temperatures go down by Wednesday with that cold front that I just showed you. Showers and storms, though, on and off over the next several days, even beyond this 3-day forecast. We'll still have that chance for some scattered rain. South Texas, San Antonio, Corpus, Laredo, highs around 90 degrees with unsettled weather through the week. North Texas, the Metroplex, Weatherford, Denton included in this, down to the lower 80s on Wednesday with a chance for scattered rain and thunderstorms. East Texas, Houston, Beaumont, Tyler, and even down into the valley. McAllen, Brownsville, Mission, you see those chances for thunderstorms. And obviously here we are in the middle of May, and the temperatures reflect that. Lots of 80s and lots of 90s building across the state of Texas. Y'all have a great week.
I'm Adriana Alexander. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. The United Football League made history right here in Central Texas. For the first time ever, a professional football game will be played on an active U.S. military base at Fort Hood. 6 News anchor Adrian Copperhall caught up with some of the fans at the game to hear what being part of this historical moment means to them.
It's an honor to be part of history.
That was the feeling Friday night in Central Texas as the Dallas Renegades took on the Orlando Storm in a first-of-its-kind professional football game on an Army installation. The UFL's Hats Off to Heroes initiative brought the league to the base, packing the stands with service members and their families, many calling it a moment they won't forget.
It's a good collaboration. It's good for the UFL, good for the military. It's a nice event for the family, for the kids. I just love it. I just like football. I love sports.
I feel like it's a pretty good opportunity for us to go and experience something big. You know, it's just a great environment for everybody that's in the military as well. Just for us to come together as a community and just enjoy a big event like a football game out here.
Bryson Collins attended with his active duty father and says he never expected to be part of the first professional football game ever played on a military installation.
My dad is in the military and he brought us out to this game. I'm very grateful. I see everybody around. I'm so happy the whole community come out here, you know, have fun and watch the game, you know.
League officials say the game is about more than football. UFL President and CEO Russ Brandon calling it a way to thank the men and women who serve, especially as the country nears America's 250th birthday.
You didn't even know you were going to be a part of history.
I didn't know that, man.
Speak about that. I mean, how important is it for you to kind of be part of that?
That's real important, man. Yeah, it's history, man. First time for everything, you know.
Now, overall, there was a great turnout for the historic game, which ended with a final score of Orlando 31 and Dallas 24. Meantime, a Killeen mother is speaking out after she says her son, who lives with cerebral palsy, may not be able to walk across the graduation stage using his supportive mobility devices. Ruth Roberts' son, Sean, is a senior at Killeen High School. Ruth says her son has spent years working towards this moment, practicing walking with the device so he could walk across the stage and get his diploma just like his fellow classmates. Just weeks before graduation, Ruth says she received a letter saying Sean may only be allowed to stand or remain in his wheelchair during the ceremony due to timing and mobility concerns. When she took her concerns to social media, hundreds of people shared their support for Sean in hopes that he would be accommodated for him on that special day.
Talking to parents and different things, I'm always telling them, I'm like, you are your child's voice. You have to advocate for them. My son doesn't talk. And I always tell him, I'm like, Sean, you're going to change the world without ever saying a word, because he does. And he's inspiring. And, you know, he's come so far and touched so many people. And so, of course, I'm going to fight.
Now, after her Facebook post gained attention online, Killeen ISD released a statement saying it's now working directly with the family to help create a safe and meaningful graduation experience for Sean. Ruth told us there's a meeting set for this Wednesday with her and the district to address these concerns and find a solution. Cameron Park Zoo closed its gates Sunday out of what officials call an abundance of caution. The zoo says it received communications similar to a recent wave of hoax bomb threats targeting zoos across the country. Officials say there is no credible threat to guests, staff, or animals at this time. Still, zoo leaders decided to temporarily close the facility while working with local law enforcement. The zoo says more updates will be released as they become available. And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
I'm Daranisha Heron here in Austin. Multiple suspects are in custody after being accused of going on a shooting spree in Austin. It sparked a shelter in place for a large area of South Austin as well as Manor. Austin police say at least 2 suspects carried out up to 12 random shootings between Saturday and Sunday, injuring at least 4 people. At least 2 of the shootings occurred at Austin fire stations, others at apartment complexes and homes. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton announced a major settlement with Texas Children's Hospital over gender-affirming care for minors. Under the new agreement, the Houston-based hospital group will pay back $10 million to the state and build what the AG's office calls the nation's first detransition clinic. Daniel Perot explains what's in the settlement.
In an unusual settlement with the state, Texas Children's has agreed to open a detransition clinic, a first-of-its-kind clinic in the United States to provide care for those who underwent gender transition procedures.
They have high rates of serious medical complications, and there are significant out-of-pocket costs
for a lot of those things. So this is going to help address a lot of those needs.
The clinic will be funded by the hospital and be free of charge to the patients for the first 5 years. As part of their agreement with the state, Children's also agreed to pay $10 million, and they have to fire multiple physicians. A.G. Paxton called the settlement historic, saying it reflects an institutional and cultural shift away from radical gender ideology.
What we want to do is we want to offer real help, not false hope, for these people.
In a statement, a spokesperson for Texas Children's told KVUE it was a difficult decision to settle, saying they're protecting resources from costly litigation to focus on life-saving care. Advocates for the trans community say it's a blow to Texans.
For a hospital system to participate in this type of hateful rhetoric in this campaign and uplift this negative messaging that's not based in science, that is going to have health outcomes on trans people.
A 2025 study from UCLA estimated trans people make up less than 1% of the state's population. Andrea Segovia with the Transgender Education Network says most who detransition do so because of social pressures, not medical complications.
The amount of people who have quote unquote regret about transitioning is less than people who have regret about knee surgeries or getting a tattoo.
Several medical associations support gender transitioning care and say it's appropriate and medically necessary for children.
There is a body of research to back it up, and it is scientifically accurate, it is valid, and it is not experimental. It is healthcare that saves lives.
Texas Children says the new clinic will formalize the supportive multidisciplinary services they already deliver to patients.
I think it's a very practical solution that should be very effective.
Critics worry other states will follow Texas's lead in forcing more of these clinics to open.
We are prioritizing a type of healthcare that benefits a very narrow group of people and then rejecting healthcare that benefits a huge population of folks who live in Texas.
As part of the settlement, Texas Children's also agreed not to provide gender-affirming care to minors, implement ethics measures, and changes bylaws to automatically punish any doctor who violates Texas's prohibition on medical interventions to transition kids. The fate of Woodin Elementary School in Southeast Austin moves forward as KVUE's Jose Alonso shows us. It's 1 out of 10 campuses set to close by the end of the year in order to curb the district's multi-million-dollar deficit.
It was a small community turnout for the second Austin ISD meeting discussing the fate of Woodin Elementary School.
I choose to trust the process.
Woodin is one of 6 confirmed school campuses that will no longer operate after the end of this school year. A total of 10 are set to completely shut down. AISD is weighing their choices on what happens to the property in order to curb their $181 million budget shortfall.
What we've tried to do is have as much information as possible for the board to make the most well-informed decisions.
Austin ISD has been scoring these properties to determine if they should be reused by organizations like nonprofits with or without improvements, leasing the property, or outright selling it. According to the district's scoring data, Woodin's best outcome is to be reused by the community.
We hope that Woodin can continue to serve as a community hub with nonprofits serving the Southeast Crescent and some of the underutilized areas or the historically underserved communities.
AISD is acknowledging the large feedback from the community and the outreach from organizations like Avance Austin. Program Director Zobida Guerrero.
We serve the community and meet a need of early childhood education and parenting support. So we're here representing that community that will benefit to be in this school because the majority of the families come from this area, east, southeast. So last year we served around 1,000 individuals and 48% comes from this area.
This process will move forward and this community feels optimistic, but it'll come down to the school board to make the final decision. In Southeast Austin, Jose Alonso, KVUE News.
Austin ISD officials told us a vote on the school's future could come as soon as June 18th. We're hearing from the teachers union after Austin ISD superintendent says the board needs more time to come up with a budget proposal. The board still needs to figure out how to cut down a daunting $181 million deficit for the upcoming school year. Here's KVUE's Daniel Gomez.
Just about a month from now, Austin ISD votes on the budget.
This is all very late. This information was really late.
Education Austin President Ken Zarafis feels optimistic.
What we believe is happening is the longer we wait, the more the district will back off what it's saying it will do.
Austin ISD Superintendent Mateus Segura is asking families and staff for more patience as the board struggles to answer the $181 million question, what and or who gets cut from the 2026-2027 school year.
You know, when we look at a reduction in staffing, because that's what this whole thing ultimately is likely to be impacted, how it's going to be impacted.
The Teachers Union president says students won't benefit from teachers picking up more classes and losing time to plan their lessons.
We can't just start cutting people and getting rid of people. And if the 6 out of 8 or 7 out of 8 saves $5-6 million, that's nothing in $180 million.
Segura says in his letter to Austin ISD families, every option is being considered to limit the strain on campuses. That includes potential cuts to the district's central office.
Because it is getting harder for our staff at our campuses, there's no doubt. But it is not easier here. Because I just want to be really careful when I say that, because it has gotten very, very hard everywhere.
Segura says Thursday night's meeting makes it clear more time is needed to figure out a solid proposal for the board to vote on by mid-June.
I don't think there's anything in here that's going to help inform me on a budget vote. I mean, do you, honestly?
And all of this comes as the school district works to redraw school boundaries. It will determine how many students each teacher will have in their classroom. That's it from us here in Austin. I'm Darrenisha Heron.
I'm Bill Churchwell in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at what's happening across South Texas. What was once the hottest shopping spot in Corpus Christi, Sunrise Mall, is now showing new signs of life after years of an uncertain future. Now, new efforts to bring the property back to life are starting to take shape. Michael Gibson has more on the latest development plans.
At one time, Sunrise Mall was the premier shopping experience here in town. Right now, there's a plan to try and make it one of the hottest spots around once again. For months, virtually nothing has been happening here at the old Sunrise Mall site. And that's left many people wondering whether the massive redevelopment project had stalled out for good. So 3 News went to the city's Development Services Department to find out exactly where things stand.
The project is still on. It had several legalities with the properties that it had to work through. That has since been worked through.
City officials say the multi-million-dollar redevelopment plan is still moving forward with retail shops, hotels, restaurants, and even housing planned for the property. And there are already other visible signs of activity. A new Stripes convenience store is going up at Airline and McCardle, and another popular business is now set to join the development.
So, hey, Michael, just as you discussed earlier, the convenience store is going to go here, is currently being constructed at the corner of Airline and McCardle. And we've had an early assistance meeting request for a 7 Brew in near proximity to that convenience store, right along Airline.
Another major piece of the redevelopment is aimed at entertainment. The new Midnight Rodeo nightclub is preparing to open here, featuring country music along with a coffee and ice cream bar.
Well, we're hoping to revitalize this part of town and hopefully fill up all these parking spaces out here.
Gordon Scott says the entertainment complex is now just weeks away from opening. Developers and city leaders alike are hoping projects like these can breathe new life into a property that once was the center of shopping and entertainment here in Corpus Christi. Michael Gibson, 3 News.
Check out this next story. They might look like toys from a child's bedroom, but now plastic piggy banks are showing up in the surf along the Texas coast. The unusual discovery is giving experts a better idea of just how far trash can travel through the water. 3 News reporter Ryan Hopper takes us to the beach for a closer look.
For nearly a decade, Jace Tunnel has combed the coastal Bend's beaches.
If you can think of it, we found it out here.
And that's an understatement.
I found over 60 messages in a bottle, a safe, I found a prosthetic leg, I found 3 bowling balls, boats washed up from Cuba. I found a 35-foot sailboat with the mast still up, the sails up.
But just when the marine scientist of 20-plus years thought he'd seen it all.
We have a couple of different species, we say in science.
A small herd of floating piggy banks, as many as 14 in one day. So where did they come from?
This is the most common one that we find, and it is made and manufactured in the Dominican Republic. So that's probably a good place to start, is in the Caribbean. A lot of these are coming from. Now we have found some other ones that have Spanish writing on them. We have one that says Guatemala.
Now you might think that someone lost their entire life savings in a shipping accident, but Tunnel says the real answer might be less traumatic.
Once these piggy banks have been used, you'll notice there's a bunch of cuts in them. There's no other way to get the money out, so people dispose of them, whether it's directly in the ocean or on land. Once it rains, these things they're real lightweight. They get into the waterways like rivers, float to the ocean, get into that loop current, and get in those eddies and push up to the Texas coast.
If you find one at the beach, Tunnel encourages you to dispose of it properly or to take one home like I did. Just don't count on finding any spare change.
Every time I post one of these, people are like, what was in there? Did you find any money? And I just tell them sand dollars. That's the only thing I ever found in there.
Ryan Hopper, 3 News.
And that's a quick look at some of what's happening here in South Texas.
I'm Vanessa Croy, and here's your news in San Antonio. A week-long dispute over a woman ends in gunfire on the city's west side. San Antonio police say a man opened fire outside a home in the 2200 block of West Poplar just before 1 Sunday morning. Investigators say the suspect and the victim had been feuding all week over a woman when the suspect, in a fit of rage, drove by the home and started shooting. Police say the victim was grazed by a bullet and treated on scene with minor injuries. Officers say they searched the area for the shooter but have yet to make an arrest. Disturbing details in the case of a man now being charged with murder, accused in the brutal strangling death of his child's mother. On Wednesday, police were called to the park at Sutton Oaks Apartments off the 1000 block of Locke Street on the east side for an assault in progress. Well, according to a police report, 24-year-old Mark Damian Balditt called 911 and said he'd put the woman in a headlock to, quote, put her to sleep, and then she wasn't responding. Investigators say Balditt told police the two were talking about their child when a conversation escalated into a physical attack. Detectives say Balditt put the woman in a chokehold and didn't let her go for at least 2 minutes. By the time EMS got there, police say she had already died. The child is now in custody of Child Protective Services. A community in mourning, grappling with an unimaginable tragedy. A heartbroken community still shaken by a tragic murder. According to San Antonio police, a 37-year-old mother killed her young children on Friday before setting their vehicle on fire. KENS 5's Mike Jimenez reports on the outpouring of support as the community comes together to grieve and to heal.
I keep thinking, like, why, God, not why?
Nicole De La Rosa sat with her 2 daughters in front of a growing memorial Saturday afternoon. She reflected on the tragedy that unfolded Friday morning.
I was heartbroken. I just cried because it's kind of unbelievable. Like, I didn't really believe it.
First responders were called out to the area of 500 Richland Hills near 410 and Highway 151 early Friday morning, where they found a car on fire. Inside the car, the bodies of 2 children, ages 5 and 7. Standing nearby, the children's mother, 34-year-old Marlene Vidal of Edinburgh. Authorities say Vidal was taken in for questioning, and evidence indicated Vidal was solely responsible for the death of her children. Police say mental health challenges may have played a role. De La Rosa says hearing the news and being the parent of 2 daughters herself made her sick.
I was just super emotional just from the beginning of the morning when I seen it. But I have children myself, so, and you know, sometimes I have bad moments, you know, like everybody struggles.
Now the community is struggling to cope with the tragedy and the many unanswered questions.
The emotional toll is significant, not only for the first responders and investigators, but for our entire community. And I know our community is going to be hurting right now. Everyone's going to want to know why something like this happened. And unfortunately, the why is sometimes the hardest question to answer.
Saturday, many like De La Rosa stopped by the memorial to leave gifts like teddy bears and flowers, and pay their respects to the family during their difficult time.
Just my condolences again, and babies won't be forgotten. And I hope that, it brings awareness to our city that sometimes we need help and sometimes we don't ask for help.
Vidal now faces capital murder and arson charges. She's in jail with bonds totaling $2.1 million. Now Sunday, Pastor Jimmy Robles with Last Chance Ministries will host a community vigil here at the site at 6 p.m. Mike Jimenez, KINS 5.
A fugitive considered violent and dangerous, wanted for attempted murder, now is in custody after a manhunt that extended beyond state lines came to an end near New Braunfels. According to FBI San Antonio, the Central Texas Violent Crimes Task Force tracked down and arrested Jesse Lang. Investigators say Lang was wanted in Denver for attempted murder and other violent charges, along with a separate aggravated assault case out of Edinburgh. Authorities say when officers tried to take him into custody, he fled on foot, triggering a massive search involving multiple agencies across multiple counties. The manhunt finally ended with a traffic stop along Interstate 35 near New Braunfels. The arrest was part of Operation No Escape, as an FBI-led effort focused on tracking down violent fugitives nationwide. A violent and brazen crime caught on camera. It happened in February at the Potheads Dispensary off Pleasanton Road. The owner sharing this video with KINS 5, hoping to track down the suspects accused in the crime. And 3 months after, one of the accused armed robbers is now behind bars after police say our coverage helped move the case forward. Dontavia Mitchell was arrested last week, according to an arrest warrant. Mitchell pretended he couldn't get in the shop, so an employee went to help him open the door. Well, that's when police say Mitchell stormed in, grabbed the victim, threw her to the ground, and then hit her in the head with his gun. Investigators say the gun then went off, firing a round into the floor right next to the victim's head. A second unidentified suspect then came in the store, started grabbing merchandise, and both of them took off. But after our story aired, detectives say an anonymous tipster called police, naming Mitchell as a possible suspect. Well, he's now facing a charge of aggravated robbery. It's still unclear if that other suspect has been arrested. And that's your news here in San Antonio.
Hi, I'm Nayeli Carrillo, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. Most 15-year-olds are worrying about homework, sports, or what's trending on TikTok. But one East Texas teen is busy running her own business. In Hallsville, El Chango King Fruteria is serving up sweet treats, fruity snacks, and a big dose of hard work. CBS 19's Renee Estrada shows us how one high school freshman is turning her dream into reality.
From fruit cups to churros covered in chocolate, El Chango King Fruteria in Hallsville is bringing a sweet taste of culture to East Texas. But the real surprise is the person running it all.
Ever since I was little, I would play in the kitchen or be a cashier or something. And my dad has always owned his own businesses, and he inspired me he helped me to build my own business.
Leila Archundia says she grew up helping with her family's businesses, and those early lessons helped shape the hardworking mindset she has today.
Or I go to school, go to practice, come here, go to pickleball.
And when she gets to her shop, it's all hands on deck.
From opening, we have to prep everything, make sure everything is ready for our customers to sell. We usually cut the fruit the day of or the night when we're closing, and we put them on the cups, and then we cut strawberries, we make the pancake mix every day.
And with dreams of expanding the business one day, this young entrepreneur says she's just getting started.
I get to be like my dad because he has his own businesses. He runs his own businesses, so then I get to be like him and run a business like him.
And whether customers come for the churros or the homemade drinks, Archundia says the business is about more than just the food. It's about the family, hard work, and sharing a little piece of her culture with the community. In Hallsville, Renee Estrada, CBS 19.
6 East Texas students were honored Saturday after earning appointments to some of the country's top military academies. Congressman Nathaniel Moran hosted the annual Academy Brunch honoring the students. The event showcased the students accepted into the academies, including West Point, the Naval Academy, and the Air Force Academy. Moran said the students represent the future of military leadership.
We're so thankful that we have leaders here in East Texas that are willing to dedicate their lives to service to this nation, and we wanted to celebrate that here this morning with their parents, their educators, and their loved ones.
The event also gave families, mentors, and educators a chance to celebrate the students' achievements. And a community walk in Tyler brought families together Saturday morning to raise awareness about preterm births and infant health. The 4th annual March for Babies walk brought East Texas families together at Southside Park and the Rose Redmond Trail. The event aimed to connect parents of premature babies with local support and resources. Attendees enjoyed free food, face painting, kids activities, and a 3-mile community walk.
We walk for babies. We march for babies because every step counts towards learning what research is there to help us combat prematurity.
Organizers say they hope the event continues to build awareness and support for local families. That's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Nayeli Carrillo.
Here, headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Ebony Coleman. U.S. Secretary of Energy Chris Wright visited the Golden Pass LNG plant in Sabine Pass. The visit was to highlight impacts of American energy dominance that have taken place in just the past year and a half. TOL News reporter Daniela Taboada Plau met with the secretary, and she has that story.
All the way from Washington, D.C., U.S. Energy Secretary Wright made a stop at Golden Pass LNG in Sabine Pass. There, he praised the project for its role in transforming the world and passed along this message from President Trump.
He said, when you're down there, tell everyone thank you. Tell them not a little thank you, tell them a huge thank you.
The visit comes just weeks after Golden Pass LNG achieved its first liquefied natural gas production.
And what you do every day is transforming our country, transforming the economy and the security of our country, and ultimately you're transforming the world.
Hundreds of contractors and Golden Pass LNG employees, along with state and local leaders, gathered Friday morning to hear Secretary Wright's remarks. Among those in attendance were U.S. Congressman Randy Weber and County Judge Brannick.
What's happening here is the big deal. It's jobs, jobs, jobs. It's energy, energy, energy.
During his speech, Wright highlighted the growth of LNG, its current impact on the industry, future expansion, and role in energy security.
The fact is, our country and the world run on oil and gas. They did the day I was born, they do today, and I guarantee they will the day I die.
The U.S. is now the world's largest LNG exporter and has played a key role in supply during the ongoing war in Iran.
We are today the world's largest exporter of natural gas in the world by a fair margin, by a factor of 2. And if you look out 10 years, we'll be the largest exporter of natural gas by a factor of 3, maybe 4.
12 News also spoke with the Secretary one-on-one after his remarks, where he addressed rising gas prices amid the war.
We understand Americans today are paying higher prices than they would like, higher prices than we would like to see. But it's simply essential to end Iran's ability to get a nuclear bomb. That's just an ugly world we don't want to go towards.
If you would like to hear Secretary Wright's full remarks and our one-on-one with him afterwards, head to 12 News Plus. In studio, Danielle Tarplau, 12 News.
And that wasn't his only stop. The Energy Secretary crossed state lines to Cameron Parish, where he toured what will become Commonwealth LNG. U.S.-based CAT URUS was given the go-ahead to build the facility after raising nearly $10 billion in financing for the plant's construction. Commonwealth is expected to become one of the 5 largest LNG exporters in the U.S., with operations set to begin in 2030. NBISD Board of Managers is set to consider a possible school closure and other major district changes. Items on the agenda for a May 21st Board of Managers meeting includes considerations and approval of closing Paul A. Brown Learning Center, as well as the separation of Peach MacArthur Pre-K through 8 Center into Peach MacArthur Elementary School and South Park Middle School, and revisions to the 2026 the 2027 academic calendar. No word yet on what that means. 12 News did reach out to the district for comments and are awaiting a response. Now this as the new superintendent is in hot water with Port Arthur ISD. Dr. Mark Portertier claims that Sandy Massey made negative remarks about his district. It came during a BISD staff meeting about upcoming librarian role changes. According to teachers in attendance who spoke to 12 News and Port Arthur ISD, Superintendent Sandy Massey allegedly told staff, if you are a librarian and you don't want to be a student success coach, you can look at Port Arthur. They need some help too. They're actually worse than Beaumont in a couple of categories. In a message sent to PAISD staff, Superintendent Dr. Portertier addressed the alleged comment, calling it inappropriate and disrespectful, adding, this comment is not just inappropriate or unprofessional, it's a direct challenge to our integrity, our hard work, and our pride. But instead of reacting with anger or negativity, I choose to channel that energy into action. I want our entire team to understand that we are better than this, better than any attempt to diminish our district or undermine our collective efforts. Portertier encouraged his staff to use the criticism as motivation moving forward. He also said PAISD would respond not with negativity, but by continuing to improve student achievement and showcase the district's progress. And Beaumont ISD responded, saying during an internal meeting with staff, Superintendent Massey was, quote, speaking candidly about the challenges many school systems are facing statewide related to student outcomes, staffing, and academic performance. Her comments were not intended to diminish or disrespect Port Arthur ISD, its leadership, educators, or students. We're following an investigation into Orange. Our 12 News crew saw a man being treated for a gunshot wound on Azalea Street. We also saw a vehicle with several bullet holes a few blocks away. Police say other victims also showed up at the hospital. No word yet on Orange if anyone has been arrested. And those were your headlines from Southeast Texas.